So tomorrow is the 4th of July. And I'm looking at the news, and they're basically telling people to brace themselves for more gun violence in the black community. I was watching this live feed, and these dudes, they were saying that the killings in the black community are basically exaggerated. It's not as bad as we've been told. And some would believe that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that based on the level of ignorance and evil I see, on our people, in my daily travels. I mean, it's not hard to fathom or to convince myself, as well as some of you, that this is a serious problem. Look at that situation where the brother, who was clearly disturbed, started punching this sister in the face in the restaurant, and in return, her son shot the dude in the back, killed him. They were arrested, the mother and son, but were later freed. It's getting to the point. I say it all the time, and it's getting to the point you have to stay in the house for the most part. I'm not saying to be a hermit or to always be in the house, but at this point in the game being the Most High's spirituality, His prophecies, His judgment. At this point, you should have your house very well comfortable. I say it all the time. Your house should be comfortable. Your living conditions should be comfortable. You shouldn't be stressed out in the home. But you on the job, you're catching hell, and you're stressed out on the job. In your travels, depending on how you commute, you are stressed out there. And when you come home, you should have a nice hot meal prepared for you if you're married, or you have a wife that's in that spirit. Or your home should just be comfortable. Bottom line, it should be entertaining and comfortable, because outside is just evil outside. And as ignorance grows, and as the music gets more perverted and violent and sexually deviant, you're going to see more shootings and killings in the streets, and especially during these holidays. This is why, I last video I mentioned about Juneteenth is a joke, because you're going to while out the ones who are ignorant and walk like animals. They're going to act up and wild the hell out on the 4th of July, when you were slaves. You were slaves during the 4th of July, and during Juneteenth, you've disgraced it for the most part. You've disgraced it. The so-called black man and black woman, they are a disgrace today. And I know that's harsh, and you don't want to hear that, and in your mind or minds, that's judgmental, but that's the reality, and that's part of the curse. The Most High cursed us, and we have to endure every aspect of the curses until we're delivered out of here. In the meanwhile, there's going to be much pain, much suffering, much anguish, much evil, until Christ comes back. We call him Yahweh Shai in the Hebrew. You're not going to escape this. The curses are here, and you're not going to escape it. A lot of brothers and sisters think they're going to get around the curses. You are kidding yourselves. You're kidding yourselves. The evil and the violence we see among us is prophecy. And you're just going to have to soak that up in your spirits, meaning your minds, and accept the fact that that's what it is. The enemy, they're getting theirs. The enemy being the other nationalities outside of the 12 tribes of Israel, which consists of so-called Negroes and Hispanics. They're getting this too. But you better believe the Most High, he got to take out a lot of us, man. He got to take out a lot of us. The Most High says very clearly, he says, so that the man that is tender among you, see, at one time, the so-called black man was tender and respectful, and he walked with pride and honor, and his woman was right behind him. Today, it's the opposite, the total opposite. The so-called black man, he's no longer tender, and he no longer respects his woman, and his woman no longer respects him, and the children, they despise the fathers, and the children, they are emotional or effeminate. They've turned to the ways of this world, which is ran by the devil. So a lot has changed over the years in our captivity. But my point is, overall, I'm trying to show you that at one time the man was tender, meaning he was compassionate, he had mercy, he had respect. But now look what happened. The Lord said, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eye shall be evil toward his brother. What's the eye? His spirit. See? His spirit shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Who does that fit? The so-called black man, so-called Hispanic man. See that? Then the 56th verse says, the tender and delicate woman among you. See, the woman was tender too. She was in the spirit at one time, the black woman, Hispanic woman. But you see them now. Are they tender? Or is it so-called Negro woman? Is she tender? Is a so-called Puerto Rican and Dominican woman? Are they tender? Or are they aggressive and whorish? Tell me, what do you see in your travels? You see tenderness? Do you see love? Do you see a meek spirit? Do you see compassion and mercy? Or do you see aggressive, outlandish, sexually motivated, whorish behavior? What do you see? The tender and delicate woman, which would not venture to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye, see her eye also, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. See that? These things are not going away. So they're saying to prepare for more death and more shooting, in Baltimore, but not just in those places, all over the country. They have let the reins go, and the black community is totally out of control. I've given up on the black community, except for when I'm teaching the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. That's the Most High in Christ. All these plans and financial bring back the community schemes, stuff ain't gonna work. If it was gonna work, you would have saw glimmers of hope decades ago. We know that stuff is not gonna work. Those of you who have sense. Yeah. This is black on black homicide, a psychological political perspective. Black homicide rates are 7 to 8 times those of whites, though blacks have a rate of poverty only 4 to 5 times that of whites. Is that impossible to believe? Because a lot of brothers, they telling me what I'm hearing about black on black crime and the death rate, as far as blacks killing blacks and Hispanics killing Hispanics, all people killing each other. They're telling me that it's not true. Is that the case? Since today, homicide is the leading cause of death among young black men and contributes significantly to the shortened lifespan of the black male, In about 80 to 90% of the cases, the black victim was killed by another black. And about 52% of the murder victims were acquainted with their assailants. They say that most white people who are killed by other white people. But our situation is different because of the number of us compared to the number of so-called white man, population wise. That's where the problem is. Just as we accept that suicide victims are psychologically impaired, we must acknowledge that the murder is similarly impaired. And blacks for both environmental and political reasons are likely to reflect emotional predispositions that allow them to more readily become a homicide statistic. Hmm. I don't even feel bad about it anymore. You know why? Because because it's such a cold world, and the stuff in between and outside of that is so foolish and ridiculous. It's just hard to feel sorry or feel bad about these stats or what's happening to the people. You just want to go home. Projected self-hatred facilitates blind rage and gives the perpetrator of the violent attack a sense of legitimacy and justification. So the hatred is so deep, the hatred is so real for your own skin and your own people that when you kill another black man, when you kill another black woman, you feel justified. This shows how valuable so-called black and Hispanic lives are important to each and every one of us who's in a negative, wicked mind state. This shows how precious life really is in the mind of a murderer or someone who just wants to injure another so-called black man. You hate yourselves. Not you brothers and sisters in the faith. I'm talking about the ones who are outside of the faith. I'm not going to read this whole thing, but this just crossed my mind. I saw this story. Projected self-hatred facilitates blind rage and gives the perpetrator of the violent attack a sense of some legitimacy and justification. In addition, blacks have been indoctrinated by a criminal justice system which places higher value on white life than black life. It's amazing. It's amazing. But oh well, you know how it goes. You know what the Most High says. Just watch as well as pray, and you know, live an upright spiritual life. Because we talked about it. What was it, Saturday? That that the light is. This is the condemnation. The Lord said, and because light has come into the world, men love darkness rather than light. And then when you read on, it says because their deeds were evil. You know the deal. I don't have to go deep into scripture with this. You know what's up. But it's a damn shame. But I'm just really just trying to get to you brothers and sisters. Just stay in the house tomorrow, man. Stay in the house, watch the news, be with your family, have a drink, and watch some TV shows. Catch up on the shows you've missed already. But stay off the streets, man, because at some point we got to stop looking at the white man, and we got to look at how our people are devils as well, and and avoid them. The Lord said, "Have no company with them," because that's what it's coming down to. I'm not saying to totally cut yourself off from the unbelievers, because you got some unbelievers who are more beautiful than brothers and sisters in the faith. Yeah, You got some brothers who are more beautiful in spirit than brothers and sisters that are in the faith. These being the brothers and sisters outside of the faith. But that was just on my mind.